What's up, fam? Big Tony coming at y'all. Roham Man K, one half of it. Other part of it, my brother Marcus, getting ready for the show coming up. First week NFL season. So y'all stay tuned for that. But I want to come to y'all and talk to y'all. I had a couple things I want to talk to y'all about today. The first thing I want to talk about is the Ryan Clark firing and the crying and all that. That's what everybody talking about now. Ryan Clark on TV crying. He got fired and now he crying. That's what everybody talking about. Everybody. It's on every if it's on every network. So I want to address it myself. So in my what I believe Ryan got Ryan Clark fired is doing his own business on ESPN time. That's what got him fired. When you on ESPN time, you talk about ESPN, what ESPN wants you to talk about. That's why everybody got a podcast so they can talk about what they want to talk about on their own podcast. They can talk about what they want to talk about on their own podcast. When you on ESPN time, you work for ESPN. You gotta talk about what they say. Talk about. That's why they have production meetings in the morning. They had to be up there early in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. They have production meetings where we talk about this. Is what we're gonna talk about today. So when you go off script with that, it might rub them the wrong way. It might let you do it one time or two times, or three, but it eventually, you know. So that's what I believe got him fired. And this is really what it is right here. This is what I'm gonna show y'all. I want you to hear what he said. I want you to hear what he said on this on Monday Night Football after at a post game, press, the conference, post game thing. This is what he said.
Yes, guys, Kyron Lacy was supposed to be in the NFL. Kyron Lacy was accused of something and being investigated for something that he didn't do, and he died having to live with the guilt and the consequences of a guilty man knowing he was innocent. It recently was discovered that he was 72 yards away from the crash, that police and state policemen tried to coerce and doctor and use ways to manipulate statements that put this young man behind bars. They changed his joy, they changed his life, and eventually he took his own life. This was supposed to be a career, but at least he was supposed to be here. At some
I'm gonna stop it right there. See, Ryan Clark is doing his own business on ESPN time. If everybody don't know what happened, a player from LSU named Kyron Lacy, he was up and coming and he was a good player and everything, but some kind of way he was in a car accident and it killed some people, a military police or something like that, and they had charged him with it, he felt like he was finna go to jail. So I guess he couldn't take going to jail, so he took his life. So yeah, that's what they say, he took his life. So this is what Ryan Clark talking about. He's trying to say that the Louisiana State Police is covering it up with their statements. So, and that's what I'm saying about to have your own podcast. If you want to talk about that kind of stuff, you talk about that stuff on your own podcast. You can't talk about that stuff on the big networks. You gotta think about it. ESPN works is owned by Disney. You can't be on there talking about politics. Nah, it's not what it's about. You talking politics on a sports show. So and then after that, so listen to this. Listen to this. After they found out, after he came out and said it came out and found out that what the Louisiana State Police had said was true. So he had to bag up. And another thing, when he said that at the post game, it was Pat McAfee on one side and it was Scott Van Pelt on the other side. I didn't let y'all hear, but at the end of what he said, Pat McAfee said, "Amen." So Pat McAfee signed off on it, and he doing it on Scott Van Pelt's post game show. All right, check this out.
So I've never really had much trouble expressing anything. This has been more difficult because I know that people are hurting. Right? 2 lives have been lost. Herman Hall, a man who spent his life in service of others, and Kyron Lacy. He's just a young man who I wish I could tell how much he had to live for. My heart absolutely breaks for both of them, their families, and their loved ones. On Monday night's Sports Center, I addressed the horrific car crash that took Mr. Hall's life, and also the subsequent tragic events that led to the death of Kyron Lacy. In full transparency, y'all, I knew Kyron Lacy personally. Nothing matters to me more than the truth. Always strive to do my best to mix authenticity with the most complete and up-to-date information available. I failed to do that on Monday night based on the subsequent evidence that has been released by the.
I'm gonna leave it right there. He said that he had to go back and apologize to the Louisiana State Police and say that he was wrong about what he said on Monday Night Football on the post game. So did Pat McAfee, and so did Scott Van Pelt. Both of them, all three of them, apologized. He said it on Scott Van Pelt's post game show, and Pat McAfee signed off on it with the amen. So all three of them had to bag that up. So they don't. So what they really saying is that Brad Clark made them, had influenced them to say that, to do that. They feel like Pat McAfee don't care nothing about no Kyron Lacy dying. They feel like Scott Van Pelt don't care nothing about no that Kyron Lacy died. It's Ryan Clark's influence that make both of them do that on his show, and him sign off on it with amen. And Pat McAfee was saying it on his show too. And Scott Van Pelt was saying on the nightly show, when Ryan Clark wasn't on there, on his nightly show, the late night. Yeah. So all three of those guys had to go back and back up those statements and apologize to the Louisiana State Police. So that's what I believe got Ryan Clark fired. And okay, now let's talk about the Stephen A. thing. Now everybody, Stephen A. Well, how at least Stephen A. let him get fired? I thought it was Stephen A. I thought Stephen A. ran. No, Stephen A. is an employee of ESPN. He don't own ESPN. He's not the executive of ESPN. He's an employee of ESPN. Now I believe they called and asked him, "Hey, should we fire Ryan?" He would say, "No, nah, don't fire him." But as far as it'll go, what company do you know that one of the employees can come up and tell the owner, "Hey, don't let him go. You can't let him go." Nah, they ain't how it work. He's an employee of ESPN. And Ryan Clark said that he hold no ill will towards Stephen A. He said that. He said that. He said Stephen A. couldn't. He said he know that Stephen A. couldn't do nothing for him. It was already done. The higher ups, it was over his head. The higher ups wanted it. Stephen A. can't do nothing about that. So Ryan Clark will find another job though. I mean, he know football, so somebody pick him up. He can go somewhere. Do like everybody else. If he ain't go to Fox, I mean, whatever, you know. Somebody pick him up because he do know football. He know football. Man. I mean, you got to give him that. And the crying part, you know, some guys wear their heart on the sleeve. It's just like that. I mean, everybody can't be brick hard, and some folks, everybody ain't the same. That don't mean he less than a person or less than a man because you know, I ain't gonna judge him like that. The man said he loved his job. I mean, it's just what it is. He loved his job. He said he loved it. He loved what he do. He felt like he was doing good. Folks chopped him off at the knee. He was hurt. He feeling hurt. It came out like that. Some folks do hold it in. Some folks, everybody do stuff different. You can't judge it for that. But Ryan Clark did learn a life lesson. He should have. As long as you live, you gonna learn. As long as you live, you gonna learn. Don't forget that. You can't do what you want to do on the other folk shows. You gotta get your own podcast, Ryan Clark. You gotta get your own thing and do and say what you want to say on that. That was Stephen A. do though. If you watch Stephen A., he don't really talk about no. He'll say a little something, but he don't get that way out there with it. But on his own podcast, he say what he want to say, and that's how it's supposed to be. He just learned, he learns. He still what he was 30 something or whatever. He'll fall somewhere. He's a smart guy. He'll fall somewhere, and he know football, so and everybody know that. So somebody pick him up. But I'm just glad that he came out and said what he said about Steve A. because everybody was bashing Steve A. Can't get mad at Steve A, man. You can't get. There's only so much he can do. Then I heard somebody say Pat McAfee wouldn't have let it. No, those are two different dynamics. Stephen A. works for ESPN. He's an employee of ESPN. Pat McAfee pays ESPN. ESPN pays Pat McAfee to air his show. Those are two different dynamics. One is an employee, one is an owner. He owns the show and they pay him to air his show. Those are two different things. Pat McAfee pays everybody that works for him. They pay Pat McAfee and Pat McAfee pays his people. That's how they work. So I just want to say something. I got one more thing too I want to talk about. Anybody that know me, they know I'm this right here, and I'm this right here, I'm this right here, I'm this right here, I'm this right here. They know that about me. They know that about me. Look. Yeah. So the little thing with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and stuff, Jason Tatum kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, he really ain't said nothing the whole time, but then now he want to come out and say something. That just kind of rubbed me, the wrong way. Why you weren't talking the whole time when it was going on? Now he gone. Now you got something to say. I want to tell y'all. I want to show you. I want to tell y'all what he said. Hold on. Let me get to it. He said that. This is what he said. Now he didn't say Jaylen Brown, but who else he talking about? He said, being around somebody that feels like they know it all, I don't want to be around that person. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to learn from somebody else. This is what he said. Quote unquote. So I didn't think that Jason Tatum didn't like Jaylen Brown at first, but it just he didn't want him then. He didn't want because Jaylen Brown he too dynamic. He might outshine him. There's a lot of he got to stand up. When Jaylen Brown out there, he gonna have to stand up. So, but now I know because I was like, why Jason Tatum ain't coming out saying nothing for Jaylen Brown? Well, hey, they ain't homies. They ain't partners. It's just what it is. They work together. They ain't partners. You ain't gotta love everybody you work with. Cause that's why I thought they would try to make it work, and then the money part of it too. It's gonna be hard to pay $200-300 million players on one team. But the last owners, they already knew they were gonna sell the team. So when they won the championship, they sold the team like a week after. We won the championship, then they sold the team like a week after. So I'm like, they were like, Jason Tatum, what you want? No, Jaylen Brown, what you want? Here, y'all can have it. Y'all can have it. Here you go, bam. But they knew they weren't gonna have to deal with it because they knew they were selling the team always from the jump. The next owners will have to deal with their money problem. So if you got two players on your team that you paying 50, 60, almost $65 million a year, it don't leave a lot of room for anybody else. Not decent. I mean, think about who they had last year though. I almost Sam Hauser and I can't really can't even remember half of them names. You know, it's just some sub tier guys. They wasn't no top tier guy. There's some sub tier guys. But when I saw them go out and get Mitchell Bryant and they got Paul George in the trade for Jaylen Brown and I thought they might try to do something, but I don't know. But I did know that Brad Stevens had to cut that money though. He ain't had no choice. Ain't no way you can get nobody else if you gonna cut that money. That's too much. He already had came out and said it earlier. Said he was paying two players 70% of the cap. Two players 70% of the cap. Nah, you can't even function as a team like that. So they had to make a choice. They chose Jason Tatum, which I get it. He more marketable or whatever, and you see he got on commercials and stuff. But Jaylen Brown a dog though. You let a dog go. But y'all let the real dog go. He proved it to y'all all last year. Man, him and a cast of guys. It was all it was out there. Him and a cast of guys out there. So Jason Tatum don't do the same thing Jaylen Brown did last year. Is that what you call it? Did you make the right decision? Jason Tatum got to come out and do what Jaylen Brown did last year to justify them getting rid of Jaylen Brown. And I really don't even know if Jason Tatum got that kind of dog in him though. He can ball now. I ain't say he can't ball, but you gotta have a certain kind of dog in you, man. Jaylen Brown showed it all last year. He showed it. Even though they came back and let them folks come back on them 3-1, and it is what it is. I don't know if he got tired, he gave up or whatever. Whatever happened, man. He got him there for it. So, but I just didn't like how Jason Tatum came out and said that like that because he should. I mean, if you're gonna be talking, you should have been talking the whole time. But we'll see though. Like I said, Tatum can ball. Then they got Mitchell Bryant. Got somebody in the paint now. They ain't never had nobody in the paint for the last I don't know how many years since Harper left. They ain't had nobody in the paint. So we'll see what happened with the Boston Celtics. That's my team. I'm gonna keep over. Don't be talking about those guys all year. That's my team. But football season coming. I'm 49, so it's 49 time. But I had to get that. I had to get that off my. I had to talk about that. That Jaylen Brown stuff. I ain't like how they did it either. They could have did that another way, without the disrespect, because there was a lot of disrespect going on. But then Jaylen Brown too. I ain't like how he did it either. You went at Stephen A. But Stephen A. ain't got no control over nothing what you got going on in your life. What you going at Stephen A. for? Why you ain't going at the owner? Why you ain't going at Brad Steve? Why you ain't going at Missoula? Why you going at Stephen A? I didn't get that. Stephen A. got nothing. He can't give you a penny. He can't take a penny from you. So what you going at him for? I guess that's the only person he can unleash on. Them billionaire owners, they don't care nothing about what no Jaylen Brown think. If they did, he'd still be there. Brad Stevens, he gotta do his job. Missoula gotta do his job. You just go on bow out peacefully, man. Go on about your business. That's all you can do. But that's all I want to talk about today, man. I had to get that off my chest. I saw that about that Ryan Clark crying and all that stuff. I ain't. And then everybody bashes Stephen A. Talking about Stephen A. This and he that there, he a coon and all that kind of stuff. And why he didn't save his job. Can't save nobody's job, man. You don't, the only person that can save the job is the person that own the business. You gotta get it, you know. Can't nobody save no job, save your job, man. You gotta save your own job. Yep. All right, fam. Good to talking to y'all today. I catch y'all on this real.